Hi, this is the expansion team for Kentucky Beer Cheese to Finland. I'm Will Englehart.
I'm Waylon Martin.
I am Mark Shoemaker.
And I'm Nathan Elson.
Thanks for coming in. I'm afraid, however, that I have another important meeting scheduled in about 30 minutes, so we should get down to business. Give me a 30-second elevator pitch that best captures your basic idea or strategy to introduce Kentucky beer cheese to Finland.
So, a general overview of the expansion plan is we're going to take advantage of Finland's high beer and cheese consumption, which we believe will make them predisposed to enjoy beer cheese. And we're also going to try and take advantage of their national dish being rye bread, which will pair well with the beer cheese. Finland's also an EU member state, which will make importing products there easier. And once we're in Finland and established there, it'll make exporting to other EU member states even easier, such as exporting to Estonia and the other Baltic states. And we're going to go for the licensing entry mode just because it's so far away and this will give us greater power. And we're also going to go for the multi-domestic international strategy.
That's interesting. Why is Finland a good place for us to sell beer cheese? Do customers really enjoy similar products? Are they really ready for our concept of a cheese spread mixed with beer? What kind of cultural, social, or attitudinal factors should I consider before diving into the Finland market?
Right. So, like we said in our overview, Finland is 23rd in beer consumption with an average of 70.2 liters per person every year as of 2022. And they're ranked second in cheese consumption with 21.7 kilograms per person, also in 22. And they also have the seventh highest average wage in the EU of roughly $52,000 a year, which is a little lower than the US average, but considerably higher than most of the rest of the EU. And like we mentioned, there's potential to expand in the Baltics with Sweden, Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia all being EU member states and being top beer and cheese consumers. So, a little bit more about the culture of Finland. So, as you can see on the right here, there's a culture comparison with Finland in orange and the United States in gray. And they're very similar in a lot of areas. And they actually outscore us in individualism, which makes people more likely to do what they want and not be in groups, which is good for us because they'll be more likely to go and try our new product. And their indulgence rating is still well above most other countries, which is another good factor for us because we're considered a luxury product and they are going to be more likely to buy our product, which is obviously our goal. They also have a large horse racing culture there, and it's focused mainly around harness racing, which is different than the normal racing we have here in Kentucky. But I think that's still something that we can really market around and make sure we have beer cheese at those events and say it's kind of an American horse racing tradition and use that to help our marketing. They also have a historical consumption of cheese and crackers using the Thin Crisp, which is a cracker that they're nationally known for, and Juustoleppä and Finnish blue cheese are their two most popular cheeses, and the Thin Crisp and those cheeses are often paired together. And they also have a strong and growing craft beer industry, which indicates a growing market for beer, and people are open to trying new types of beer and new beer-related products.
I'm not familiar with the governmental regulations and policies related to trade and foreign direct investment in Finland. Anything I should be concerned about?
There are a few trade implications that are important to note when we're looking at Finland as an expansion for Kentucky beer cheese. So there is a 14% value added tax in Finland products, including cheese and beer. So we plan to source our products locally and produce with a local partner to make our beer cheese. This also fits to help really fit in with Finnish tastes and gain in the market. Specific import numbers are not available, but we can guess that US exports of cheese to Finland are pretty low because most of their cheese comes from the EU, and external EU imports of cheese are sub 500 million. That includes all countries. So the US does invest about $2 billion a year in Finland in terms of like external investment. So that's a moderate number for a country of Finland's size. So that does support that it has a fairly open market to US investment.
What's the story with the value of the euro? Is it currently weak or strong relative to the US dollar? How does the value of the euro influence entry mode pricing and importation of raw materials?
So currently, the exchange rate for euros to US dollars is 91 cent euro to a dollar US. So that makes imports from America cheaper for European citizens to buy. That means that our product would be fairly competitive versus European cheese products. We can also look at the Big Mac index to show us that the USD is weak against the euro because the Big Mac in Finland is about 8% more expensive than the United States. So year to date, the US dollar is continually getting weaker against the euro, which is actually a good thing for us because our product will be continuing to get more and more competitive against European cheese products.
Okay, I think you've convinced me. What should we do then? What kind of markets entry strategy do you suggest?
The entry mode that we are choosing is licensing. We chose licensing because it will be less local operation, workload, and capital on your end as the Kentucky beer cheese manufacturer. This will create a complete contract agreement with the local brewery to be easier on both parties and just kind of keep the cost down for your side, but also be able to expand in a market that is going to accept it, hopefully, as much as we think it will. This will keep the Kentucky origination, but allow a partnership with the locally crafted brewery to grow into the market and allow the local expertise in the regulations in the market and the distribution within the market to continue the product in a growing sense and allow the Finnish people to accept what we are presenting to them and appreciate the Kentucky beer cheese idea into their own taste and growth. This will be more efficient for scaling later on when we have a partnership with the local brewery. They will be able to take that and grow it into other markets locally and also internationally within the European Union. And for the control resources and risk, they will all be low in this entry mode for everybody involved. For our action plan on the resources control and risk, we have the cheese. We're going to use Finnish. We suggest using Finnish semi-sharp or sharp cheddar with openness to switch to the aged Gouda based on what the market is at the time and what the brewery believes will be best to sell. For the beer, we're going to allow the local brewery to determine which one is best for the ingredients, but also we are going to suggest that it's a Finnish lager with low amounts of hops so that the original flavor is present in the cheese and kind of keeps the Finnish people happy with their taste. For marketing, like I said, we're going to keep the Kentucky origination in the beer cheese idea, but we're going to market it in a way that we're using the Finland beer to, like I said, keep those people interested in the product and kind of grow with the growing beer market that Finland is experiencing right now. For production, we're gonna, like I said, partner with the brewery with realistic combinations of ingredients, ideas, marketing strategies, anything that they believe will be best suited for this product. We're gonna allow them to handle that, but also keep the high standard that Kentucky beer cheese has to ensure a very good stable product. And in compliance, we're going to have the Finnish brewery abide by the stricter European Union since they already are invested into that market, and they know that the local ingredients might cause some issues if we brought them in from America.
What kind of international strategy do you suggest? Lay out some details for me.
The international strategy that we've decided to utilize to incorporate Kentucky beer cheese into Finland is a multi-domestic strategy for a couple reasons. The first one is to easily align with the Finnish values, tastes, the eating habits, and the local imagery and branding that's already there. By tapping into the cheese and beer that's already made in Finland, they can associate with these brands, and our product will feel natural to the Finland culture. This will create a product realignment where we can utilize, once again, the local breweries and beers, and creates a unique product that will thrive in a market and will turn into a Finnish delicacy, we believe. This will also make the transition feel natural. It won't feel forced on the customer. And this could overall improve customer satisfaction, and it'll be a lot easier to penetrate the market. In terms of our globalization drivers, there's going to be a market drive and a cost advantage. The market drive is that there's already a significant craft beer boom currently happening in Finland, 22 total breweries, and 3 that are specifically in Helsinki where we plan to set up shop. There's a strong growing demand for craft and artisan products, and we believe that the beer cheese will fit very greatly in here. The unique potential pairings of their national dish of rye bread, Rosinski bread, and even reindeer jerky. And there's a couple other sausages and meats that are also used in Finland that we think will go very well depending on how the market reacts. For cost advantages, there's a very low lack of local competition for any product like this. This will make us the first to market, and we have many different distributions directly at our disposal, not only of the breweries, but also bars, local events, and even farmers markets right on the streets in Helsinki. We also will share refrigeration logistics for convenience for all our supply chain. In terms of our operation plan and implementing this process, we've broke this down into 3 distinct phases. We want to keep a lot of the value chain and the roots of the recipe all in Kentucky while we produce locally in Finland. For our phase 1, we'll have a 3-month development phase of where we get our ingredients of the beer and cheese that we're going to locally use. Be very transparent on our product adaptation, our allergens, nutritional information, and then we'll have additional 3 months of our startup for production. We want to establish a strong brand packaging that is still embedded in this Kentucky roots, but crafted in Finland. We want to build very strong relationships with the potential pairings and then set up shop for production. After we then produce, we want to start with phase 3 where we'll begin to grow. We have 3 spots during this phase, and this needs to be done one right after another. So the first one is we want to initially launch into the Helsinki market and bring out the beer cheese so that people can try it and they will realize how great it is. And then we'll want to tap into that retail market. We first want to get into either S or K group, which hold 48% and 34% of the market shares respectively. And then after we tap into that Finland retail group, we want to eventually expand into the EU market, starting out with the northern sections of Estonia and even Stockholm in Sweden. We believe this has the potential to grow very rapidly and very fast, and we couldn't be more thrilled about it.
Okay, I gotta get to my next meeting in a few minutes. Now help me summarize what we talked about in about 3 to 4 bullet points.
To summarize, there's 4 main points that we want to gloss back over. And one, that Finland has a very strong cultural connection for the product and very strong connection to even the US. There's very statistical food consumptions that indicates a very, very high likability for beer cheese specifically. We believe with a multi-domestic international strategy of incorporating Kentucky beer cheese into Finland, we'll be able to tap into the local market, brand awareness, and we can easily penetrate this market and become very accustomed to consumers. Where there's also a very great possibility for EU expansion, and we cannot wait to see Kentucky beer cheese enter the Finland market. Thank you for your time.